Is that although the British people voted to leave the European Union, we have a parliament and a political class and a prime minister that doesn't want to leave. If you were going to leave the European Union, you would not have gone through the process that they've gone through the last 2.5 years, which has basically been an elaborate charade. Unfortunately, we have a Remainer PM in charge of a majority Remainer parliament, and what I've always said, and I'm very sorry to be proved right, is that they will try to delay and impede this whole process with the intention of overturning it in the longer term. This is part of the process I've described so far, whereby Parliament wants to delay and impede the whole process so that they can overturn it altogether. We're out here today in force from UKIP and generally from the Leave side to say we want to leave on the 29th of March this year, and then we can start to tell the European Union how it's going to work. Listen to what people say, but judge them on what they do. There was going to be a proper Brexit, and she's climbed down at every stage of the proceedings, given way to the European Union, made more and more concessions, and now she's going to go back and ask them again to negotiate when they've already said they don't want to. The trouble is we've got a majority of people over there, Bill, who are traitors, quislings and collaborators who don't want to leave anyway. This idea of crashing out and jumping off a cliff, these are all words that are designed to influence how people think. It's nothing like that at all. We are a member of this thing on the basis of treaties. Treaties have no force in law.
A no deal would be a disaster for the country, and they're saying that we might not have fresh food on our shelves. They could be empty.
I'm sorry, Simon, I stopped listening to this a long time ago. You've got vested interests, big business, who want continual waves of cheap labour. They like to be able to lobby the European Union with the kind of legislation that suits them, doesn't suit their smaller competitors. The idea that if we leave the European Union, somehow all supplies of food and medicine are going to dry up is complete nonsense. There are approximately 197 countries in the world. Only 28 of them are in the European Union. All the rest of them trade with each other, most of them under World Trade Organisation terms. We'd be much better off if we actually joined those majority of countries in the world and got away from the EU, which is actually a job-destroying and prosperity-limiting mechanism in itself. All we have to do is say that we're leaving, explain to the EU how we're going to do it, and we could have, for example, immediately after the referendum, have offered you continued tariff-free trade or WTO terms. And
so do you believe in international law?
This is completely
it's not international law.
This
you don't understand. A treaty is not law. A treaty is a voluntary agreement. Exactly. It is a voluntary agreement between governments. And in our case, the monarch is the head of the constitution. It is agreement between the Crown and other governments.
Based on the Lisbon Treaty.
The only thing that makes it legal in the UK is the 1972 European Communities Act. Once that's repealed, none of it has any force.
You think that Europe's going to be terribly trustworthy when it comes to a future trade relationship?
Trade goes on between countries, peoples and companies. It doesn't go on between governments.
We need our government and our parliament to take control and tell the EU how it's going to work.
The best thing that can now happen is if we have no deal on the 29th of March and that we leave under the Withdrawal Act and on WTO terms. Article 50 will have expired and the treaties will cease to apply. If the British Parliament prevents this happening, then they will have put themselves in open rebellions against the British people, and that will have profound consequences for any belief in democracy that is left in the United Kingdom.